Welcome again to the Big Three Show from Global Money Talk. I'm Tai Wong reporting from New York City. On Big Three, I take a look at three news stories that I think are important for investors today. If you like this video, please leave comments, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Also, feel free to suggest topics that you would like to see covered in the comments section, and I'll try to get to them in the coming shows. So let's go and have a look and see what are the big three stories today. The first one is Ukraine and the United States come to an agreement on minerals. Second, the House of Representatives passes a budget. And lastly, Trump offers a golden visa to people who want to invest in the United States. So the first story, Ukraine and the United States have come to a framework of an agreement that will, as it suggests here, sign an agreement to give the U.S. control over half of the country's natural resources. This is a much better deal than the original deal where Trump floated that Ukraine should give the United States $500 billion in exchange for the help they've gotten and the support they're going to get in the future. That $500 billion figure was never really realistic because Ukraine doesn't have anywhere near that kind of money after 3 years of war, and a lot of those minerals, the mines, don't exist yet. And there's a question of how much those metals are really worth. So this is a much better deal for Ukraine. It appears they have not gotten the security guarantees in the agreement that they wanted, but this is a big step in sort of getting Trump in, or getting the United States in, and saying, well, you have now control over half of the country's resources. If you want to keep that, you should protect us. So I think this is a good deal for Ukraine. Now, initially, what are investors to think about this? Well, this is a step in the sort of right direction for stability, as opposed to some of the moves that we've seen the Trump administration make in recent days regarding Ukraine. And I think as a result, you'll see that this agreement is probably bad for safe havens like gold, which is down a little bit today. And if this continues to progress and there's some more details and there is an agreement between the U.S. and Ukraine and a Zelensky meeting with Trump, which I think he really wants before Trump meets with Putin, this is definitely bad for safe haven currencies like yen and Swiss, as well as for gold. So let's take a look at some of these rare earth metals and these minerals we're talking about. So here's a map of the known deposits of some of the key metals in Ukraine. And so you can see that rare earths, there are some, but there's not a lot. There's a little bit of lithium and a lot of titanium, zirconium, neither of which are really rare earths. And just remember that in order for someone to develop a mine, to be able to mine these metals and refine them for use, is usually measured in many years, 10 years, 15 years easily. So these mineral deposits are, I don't know how valuable they are. Certainly there's enough uranium in the world. There's value to it, but is it a huge amount? It's really unclear, but if they're happy to sign over 50% of control over these deposits to the United States in return for basically security, I think it's a good trade for them. Let's take a look at rare earths. So rare earths aren't actually that rare. They are around the world quite a bit. And as you can see from this graphic from the Department of Energy, that the innermost circle are mines, right? And probably 65% of the mines are in China, and with the United States here in blue, you can't quite see behind me here. A decent amount of the materials that are being mined. Where China dominates is in the separation, refining, and manufacturing of the final product, particularly refining. And refining is a lot of work. It's usually pretty energy intensive and can be quite dirty. So it's going to be hard for other countries to ramp up their refining, not that they won't do it, but that's perhaps the biggest hurdle. So in other words, rare earth metals aren't really that rare, but getting them to a form in which it can be used by industry for our cell phones and other things is a lot of work. And this is, I think, at the end, a good trade for Ukraine. What's the next story? Well, I think the great surprise of most people, the House of Representatives has passed a budget last night. Passed very narrowly, 217 to 215 votes. One Democrat wasn't there, and one Republican, Thomas Massey, who's a Republican representative from Kentucky shown here, voted against it. Massey is known to be a deficit hawk. He just wants lower deficits, so he can be difficult to get across the aisle. What's important here is at the moment, the margin for the Republicans are only 3 votes, 218 to 215, with two representatives awaiting special elections of those folks who have joined the Trump administration. So the fact that they've been the Republican caucus in the House have been argumentative and fractious for a long time, probably 10 or 15 years. You can't get them to agree on something. Some are tax cutters, some are deficit hawks, and other things. So this is a big step. Again, the first step, a big step into potentially passing a budget. Now, this goes to the Senate, what's going to make changes, and then a conference committee of the House and the Senate are going to get together and try to hammer out a bill that can survive a vote in both houses. I mean, that's weeks and weeks, if not months to come, but this is a big step and unexpected, which is why the stock market is rallying today. It's definitely good for stocks if we can get a budget passed. Now, lots of issues, right? Where are they gonna cut? Are they gonna cut from Medicaid? Trump doesn't want to cut from Medicaid, and how much of the tax cuts can be passed. So, big first step. So the last story of the day is Trump is going to offer gold card visas to the very rich. So this initiative will replace what is currently an EB-5 visa, where you invest a certain amount of money in the United States and you get residency in exchange for that. The real question here is, big headline, you get a gold card, it's a visa, but will it really make a difference? And let's take a look at that. So this is the EB-5 green card program right now. You have to risk, I think it's about several $100,000. It has to be a new business and has to create about 10 jobs. And here is the US EB program by year. Last year, 2,700 new people applied, 2,200 were approved, and 1,400 were denied. So total processed, and this takes some time to do, was 3,600, and about 60% of the people do get it. So will this get, if you, instead of having to put several hundred thousand or about $1 million in, I think is the current number, if you made that 5 million but you didn't make any other requirements, how many people will actually be in the world will actually have $5 million to give to the United States? And the suggestion is you just give it to the government to help combat the deficit. Even if you had 5,000 people do that, let's make the math easy. 1,000 people do that, you're still only talking about $5 billion. So if you have 5,000 people doing it, you're talking about $25 billion. That's really not going to make a big difference where the United States deficit is. Now, does this seem, wow, we're just paying people to come here? Well, a lot of countries actually do have it, particularly our friends in Europe. And this is a screenshot from a place called Lincoln Global Partners, which are in Dubai. And it shows you, they even call it the golden visa. You need 500,000 euros to become to get a visa from Portugal. You only have to be there 7 days a year, and after 5 years, you could be eligible for citizenship. Some of the other countries, Greece, only 250,000 euro, but you have to live there for 6 months. So what's great about the golden visa in Europe is if you say you get it from Portugal, that gives you the ability to travel throughout the European Union. So that's pretty valuable. A lot of people have taken advantage of that. Other countries that have done it, a lot of countries in the Caribbean, it's just basically a way to collect money for the treasury. Canada according to Subirov's business immigration, who are business immigration lawyers, a Canadian golden visa only costs, and these are in Canadian dollars, $250,000 to $350,000. You have to make some, some specific investments, but that's $200,000 to $300,000 US. And Singapore is, also has it. They want rich people to come to Singapore, but it's 2.5 million Sing, which is probably a little under 2 million US, but you have to invest in a new business. You have to reside in Singapore for half the time. But if you're wealthy and you're in Asia, Singapore is a pretty good place to go. So the golden visa is nothing new. A lot of countries do it. Sounds great. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure it'll make a big difference. So these are big 3 stories for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And once again, if you like this video, please leave comments and subscribe. And anything you want to talk about, put it in the comments. I'll try to get to it. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye-bye.